Most people think emotional intelligence is about being kind, about staying calm, about saying the right thing at the right time. But that's not it. Real emotional intelligence isn't about what you add to your life. It's about what you stop doing. And today, we're going to talk about 5 things that emotionally intelligent people have quietly walked away from, that most people are still doing every single day without even realizing it. If you recognize yourself in any of these, that's not a bad thing. That's actually the first sign that you're already more self-aware than most. Think about the last time someone said something that got under your skin. Maybe it was a comment from a coworker, a text that felt passive-aggressive, a moment where you felt unseen, misunderstood, or just dismissed. What did you do with that feeling? Most people don't even stop to ask that question. They just react, or they suppress it, or they replay it for 3 days straight. Emotionally intelligent people do something different, and it starts with what they refuse to do. Thing number 1, they never outsource their emotional regulation. Here's something most people do without noticing. They make other people responsible for how they feel. If someone's in a bad mood, they wait for someone else to fix it. If they feel anxious, they look for reassurance from outside. If they feel unloved, they need constant validation to fill that gap. Psychologists call this external locus of control, the belief that your inner world is controlled by what happens around you. Emotionally intelligent people know the truth. No one is coming to regulate your emotions for you, and more importantly, no one should have to. They've learned to sit with discomfort, to self-soothe without self-destructing, to feel the feeling without letting the feeling make all the decisions. This doesn't mean they don't need people. It means they don't use people as emotional crutches, which actually makes their relationships far deeper and more honest. Thing number 2, they never mistake reaction for honesty. There's a dangerous myth that says, if I feel it strongly, it must be true. And most people live by that myth. They say things in anger and call it honesty. They make decisions in panic and call it intuition. They lash out in hurt and call it setting boundaries. Emotionally intelligent people know the difference between a reaction and a response. A reaction is fast. It's automatic. It's your nervous system trying to protect you using old data, patterns you learned as a child, wounds you never finished healing, fears dressed up as certainty. A response is slower. It comes after you've asked yourself, is what I'm about to say or do going to reflect who I actually am, or just how I feel right now? They're not suppressing emotion. They're not pretending. They're just refusing to let a triggered moment speak for their entire self. Thing number 3, they never keep score. Most people carry a mental ledger. Who did what? Who said what? Who didn't show up? Who owes them an apology they'll probably never get? And that ledger feels justified because half the things on it are real. Real disappointments, real failures, real moments where someone let you down. But emotionally intelligent people have learned something painful and freeing at the same time. Keeping score only hurts the scorekeeper. That doesn't mean they accept bad behavior. It doesn't mean they don't have standards. It means they've stopped organizing their emotional life around debt. They grieve what hurt them. They decide what they'll tolerate going forward, and then they let the ledger go. Not because the other person deserved it, but because they deserve to stop carrying it. Thing number 4, they never perform emotions. They don't feel. This one is subtle, and it might be the most common thing on this list. Most people perform emotions. They laugh louder than they feel. They say, I'm fine, when they're not. They perform excitement for things that leave them hollow. They perform calm when they're quietly falling apart. And here's the thing, society rewards this. We're taught that the right emotion at the right time is a social skill, and to some extent, that's true. But emotionally intelligent people know where performance ends and suppression begins. They can be appropriate without being fake. They can hold space for someone without pretending their own pain doesn't exist. They've developed the rare ability to say, I don't actually feel that way, to themselves first and sometimes to others, without guilt and without drama. That kind of internal honesty is what makes them feel so trustworthy to the people around them. You can tell they're not performing, and that is magnetic. Thing number 5, they never confuse understanding with agreeing. Most people think that if they truly understand why someone did something, it means they have to accept it, or excuse it, or stop being hurt by it, so they refuse to understand. Because understanding feels like surrender. Emotionally intelligent people have separated those two things completely. They can understand exactly why someone lied to them, the fear, the insecurity, the story that person told themselves, and still decide that behavior is unacceptable in their life. Understanding is not forgiveness. It's not weakness. It's not letting someone off the hook. It's just clarity. And clarity is one of the most powerful things you can have when you're making decisions about your own life. When you understand why something happened, you stop being controlled by the confusion of it. You stop asking, "Why did they do this to me?" on repeat. You see clearly, and then you choose, from that clarity, what happens next. Here's what I want you to notice. None of these 5 things are about being better than other people. They're not about having more discipline or being wired differently or having had an easier life. In fact, many of the most emotionally intelligent people learned these things through some of the hardest experiences of their lives. Pain taught them to stop outsourcing. Loss taught them to let go of the ledger. Heartbreak taught them the difference between reaction and response. Emotional intelligence isn't a personality trait you're born with. It's a set of painful lessons you eventually stop fighting. And the fact that you're here asking these questions means you're already in the middle of learning them. So here's where I'll leave you. Which one of these 5 hit the hardest? Which one did you recognize in yourself or in someone you love? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. And if this video felt like something you needed to hear today, share it with someone who's in the middle of figuring this out. Because sometimes the most emotionally intelligent thing you can do is remind someone they're not alone in the process. I'll see you in the next one.